For the next phase of our elevations, we're going to be adding in some windows and some doors. When you open up your elevations, you might get a little error where the old floor plans don't populate. Right? These are xref drawings. If you go to the xref tab, you might find that your status says unresolved. Well, if that does happen, just simply click on Attach xref and then find your floor 1 again. Now mine ended up loading up this time, but earlier today when I was trying this, it did not. So if that happens, just load in your floor 1, attach it again, and when this thing here jumps up, the other 4 should populate at the same time. And then just simply hit escape and they should stay, and this will turn status to resolved. All right, if we go to the PDF that I've sent you, you're going to notice that we have a new thing telling us to draw our windows, and we're going to be inserting them as a block. Well, we're not really going to do that in our AutoCAD Web folder. We're not going to start the new drawing. We're not going to do them on layer 0. That's if we were going to insert them as a block. But 2 things that we're going to do later, AutoCAD Web does not allow us to do. If you scroll all the way down, we're going to be adding some trim board around our windows. Starting on page 8. This 5-inch trim board that goes around all 4 of these windows, we would then have to do a new command called redefine block. Well, we don't have that option in AutoCAD Web, so we can't do it for that. And also another option, when we're looking at our windows through our columns, we don't want our windows to come on top of them or even on top of the roof. So the other thing that AutoCAD allows us to do is explode. Well, back in AutoCAD, we don't have the explode command on our modify panel. So we can't do that. What we're going to end up doing is just down below our drawings, we're going to draw our 4 windows. And then we will copy them up into the proper views where we need them to be. Since we know that we're going to be adding that trim board to all of our drawings anyway, we're just going to draw them based on the dimensions, but then knowing that we want to add that 5-inch trim board, we're going to do that as well. When we do place them into our home, we're going to be putting them into a layer called Windows, and that layer will be yellow. We want to create a new layer called Windows, make it yellow, and then we'll start our window drawings. So back to our layers tab, we're going to create a new layer, call this one Windows. You'll notice that it's not a 4-letter style of layer name. Right? This is just a general drawing, and this is just an object that we're going to be putting in. So we don't need to stick to those naming guidelines or naming standards that we've done earlier. After you create Windows, go ahead and change it to be yellow. All right, so once you've set up your Windows layer, make sure that you make it current. We're going to be drawing the windows here with a combination of lines and offsets. We'll just start them just randomly down here. It says that our window is 4 feet 10 inches tall by 3 feet 2 inches wide. Our windows are going to be really small compared to our buildings, so you might need to zoom in to be able to see those. Just come back up your 410 and then C-enter to close. Using the offsets, we can make the outside portions of our frames. I'm going to offset the bottom line up by 2 inches, and then that newest line up by the 3.5 that it says so in the document. Our outside window frames are 2 inches, so I'm going to offset those on the insides by 2 as well, and that's right, left, and the top. Now I'm going to be using the fillet command to clean those things up just a little bit. So I'm going to fillet the top left corner, I'm going to fillet the top right corner. When I fillet down in the bottom, I need to go from our second interior line to the second line of our project. I made a mistake, to our third line of the project. So let me undo that one. So when I fillet, I want to go from this line to the third. There we go. All right, another offset that I want to do is offset this newest line up for my upper portion of the window. So I'm going to offset that one up by 2 feet, 1/2 of an inch, and then offset that new one up by 2 inches for itself. I can then extend and trim and fillet. I'm actually just going to be using the trim command. I'll trim these little lines out and then extend those 2 lines over. Now for the upper portion of the window, I need 3 vertical lines that are equidistant from side to side. Well, I don't know exactly how wide they are unless I do a little bit of quick math. So if it was 3 feet 2 total for that, and I came in 2 inches and 2 inches, that means I am 2 foot 10 for the width of this line. 2 foot 10 divided by 3 doesn't really give me good math. But what I can do is I can offset by changing that 2 feet 10 into just inches. 2 feet is 24 inches, 10 more would be 34. I can offset this line here in 34 divided by 3, and not doing any math, just type in 34 divided by 3, and I know that I'll get the exact distance in that I need to be. And same thing on this one, 34 divided by 3. Now that gives me what picture 1 wants for window 1. Now I want to add on that 5-inch trim board around the outside. So I'm going to offset all of my lines out by 5, except for the bottom. So left, top, and right. And then I'll use the fillet command to trim up all 4 corners. Very bottom line, very bottom line, very bottom line. Now the reason that I kept that bottom line continuous and not having little segments is I can use this bottom midpoint for when I go place my windows in later. Window 2 and window 1 are so similar that it actually wants you to just copy your window 1 or save as window 2. The very beginning, this side here, is identical to that side with just a 4-inch gap. So we're going to want a 4-inch little offset in between the two of them. What we're going to do, since we already have this one here drawn, is just copy it over. I'm actually going to copy it down, that way I know that window 1 would be above all my others. So I'm going to copy this thing down. It doesn't matter how far. And I'm going to get rid of those outer lines just for a quick second. Right. Now it wants me to have the original window, I trimmed up the bottom edge, the same distance over plus another 4 inches. I'm going to draw myself a little 4-inch line coming over to the right. And then when I copy, I'm going to use the blue fence and just surround my window, not the line. And then I can copy it from the top left corner over to the edge of that line. Now, similar to before, I want my 5-inch offsets for my frame, and then I only want a single line along the bottom so I can grab it by the midpoint. So I'm going to delete this line here. I'm actually going to delete this line and that line. I'm super picky. I want to fillet this top corner over to this edge. That way it's one continuous line going across the top. Now I can do my offsets. So offset outside by 5, offset up by 5, offset over by 5, and then I can do my fillets. So when I fillet here, here, down in the bottom, and from this one all the way over, I can have that go across. I noticed something else as well. Something I need to change on this one too. For that bottom edge, I want to delete this one and extend this all the way to the outside corners, and then trim off these little pieces that stick down below. So on window 1, I'm going to want to do the same. I want to extend it to the outer edge and then trim off those little pieces that stick down below. All right, so window 1 and window 2 should look just like these. After you've completed your window 2, it wants us in the book, if we were doing it, to save it as window 3. We're not going to. We're just going to recopy it down in our AutoCAD mobile, or AutoCAD Web. What we want to do is use the stretch command. We're trying to get this window that is currently 4 feet 10 inches tall from the bottom of our sill to the top of the window to be 6 feet 6 inches tall. Now this is without the trim board, so ours are going to be another 5 inches longer. But what we're going to do is do the math to find out how far to stretch it. If I'm trying to go from 4 feet 10 or 58 inches to 6 feet 6 or 78 inches, that means I want to stretch my window by a total of 20 inches. I also want to stretch out this secondary part here down on the bottom. They're currently 30 inches from this line to our base. And so if I want to get up to 3'4", which is 40 inches, it means I want to stretch that bottom part by an additional 10 inches. So if I stretch the bottom by 10, and then I want to get a total of 20 inches high, that means I'm going to stretch the top by 10. And so an easy way to do that is by hitting S enter for stretch, putting a green crosshatch cutting through this bottom lower pane of our window. Hit enter to confirm your selection, and then select anywhere. When we stretch, we're going to be moving that bottom section up, and we want to move it up by 10 inches total. So 10, enter. Now I want to do the same thing, S enter, and start my stretch command by cutting through the top portion of my window. Again, hit enter to select or confirm your selection, and we'll stretch that up by just 10 inches as well. The 10 plus 10 will give us our 20 inches total, and we will be 6 foot 6 from this line down to our base. Now, window 4 is super similar to this. It's just going to be a single pane like window 1. So you can copy this one down again. And now instead of adding another window, I'm going to blue fence over here to get rid of that extra window. I'm going to go ahead and offset this exterior line out by 5. And then I'll just use trim and fillet to clean this thing on up. Oh, that's going to be a difficult one. There we go. All right. So our 4 windows should be a single that was shorter, a double that was shorter, and then a double that was taller, and a single that was taller. We're going to be using those quite a few times in our drawing. One thing that I would suggest is to make an additional copy of them. What I hope we're going to be doing is copying them into our floor plans, but sometimes I move it on accident and I don't want to lose my original piece. I'm going to show you the windows placements in the next video.